And there's a couple things that, as long as I'm governor, will never change. Fight like heck for kids, taxes, agriculture, values. Kids, taxes, agriculture, values. And it's really, really simple. We have developed a team and a cabinet that is committed and believes in running government like a business. And it takes time to change a culture of 16,000 people, but we're making it happen. We do not have bureaucrats in Nebraska government. We have public servants. And if anybody working in Nebraska government today thinks of themselves as a bureaucrat, they need to go scrub corners someplace else. Nebraska is about public servants and the extraordinary privilege to serve Nebraskans. And I've been a blessed guy off the rocks, but being a public servant, fighting on behalf of Nebraskans, is a privilege off the charts. And I'm governor of all Nebraskans, from those that can't afford to stay in the house that they paid for on fixed income, to young people who want to be teachers. And we have messed up stuff that it's driving teachers away from investing in our kids, to young people that can't afford to buy their own home until they're over 40 years of age because of ridiculous number 3 in the nation property taxes. So those are things we will constantly keep fighting and plugging away at. So, lastly, I think it's really, really important that how the process of this works. All of us at home, when we're running our business, we keep track of how we did last year and compare what went on last year. Forecasting boards and how this process works is really, really mystifying and makes it almost impossible for anybody to think other than our state's broke. And I think you've heard loud and clear, we have over $2 billion in reserves. We have the highest credit rating in the history of our state. Our state is growing, and there is so much opportunity in the forefront that the days ahead are extraordinary. I only have one regret. I wish I was Hallie's age. Questions? Thank you for being here, everybody in media, so don't be bashful. Yes, sir.
Governor, there was a moment in your speech where you kind of smacked the dais that you were talking about teacher Michelle Thorne. You said, you made a comment about bipartisanship. Were you commenting on something that you were seeing in the audience? Or was that
Yeah, you know, I'm telling you what, it's time we come together as Nebraska. This goober politics crap, I've had enough of it. I mean, when we are recognizing a person that's investing their life for kids, investing their life as a behavioral specialist, and we can't stand up and recognize, and liberal bipartisanship, why is that? Well, yeah, I'm mad as heck about it. That's not Nebraska. We represent Nebraska. It was unacceptable. It was unacceptable. John?
Governor, how do you define DEI, and how does the bill you mentioned plan to root it out?
Yeah, well, Nebraska's DEI is discipline, excellence, and integrity. But the other DEI stuff has to go away. We have to get rid of the rhetoric and escape it from our imagination. We have to escape it from made-up definitions of it. So I'm not going to define it. I just think we've lost our way, and we don't need to be an East Coast Ivy school. We don't need DEI in Nebraska, and we're going to make sure that those things do not happen in our university. Yes.
Governor Pillen, you mentioned Senator Cal's bills protecting women.
Yeah.
Senators I've talked to on both sides of the aisle say their big issue, among other things, is enforcement. Do you have any ideas on how things like this would be enforced in the state of Nebraska?
Yeah. Well, I think that number one, policy makes an incredible impact on behavior. Let me use an example. I met a senator, the only Jewish senator in the entire realm of legislatives in the state of Florida. He now serves in Congress. He created policy literally in a yellow sheet of paper while he was in Florida, and had a number of bills. Florida has become the most Semitic state in the country because of policy. Policy matters. We've just got to not think we did our work. We have to make sure that we protect our kids. I'll be darned if I'm going to have Hallie, my granddaughter, be going into a restroom having boys in it. Nebraskans, we're all on the same page. We are not going to let the vocal minority win on it. It's crazy. It's not who we are. It's not our values. It's unacceptable.
So as clarification, then, you think making the policy alone is enough to make this enforcement?
Yeah, I think making the policy is the first step, and if there needs to be more, we can address it later. Yes, Aaron.
You mentioned DHHS cuts as a big portion of your proposed budget plan.
Yeah.
And we've heard that a lot of the staffing changes have already been made to account for those cuts. Do you know roughly how much the department has shrunk over the last year?
Yeah. Well, the question is the Department of Health and the agent. It's not as easy as FTEs, right? So we're not counting government by FTEs. We're counting it by what the bottom line says. We're not worried about how many FTEs are. We're worried about really baseless, terrible contracts that are costing 3 and 4 times what 1 or 2 people can do. We are building some teams that will take contractors out, and people are going to squeal like a stuck pig about it, but we will be able to provide better services, building our teams. An example in Department of Corrections, we've saved over $10 million alone by making sure that we no longer have contract nurses, that we've built a team of public servants, not bureaucrats, taking care of those that are working a life of redemption. And, those are simple business practices. This myth that we're cutting services, it's crazy. We're enhancing our services. Just like all of us that are in business, we enhance our service. The better services we provide, the less it costs, and the better our business grows. That's what we're doing in Nebraska government. John?
Governor, how do you plan to broaden the sales tax base, get that additional revenue? In the past, sales tax exemptions, it's kind of removing some of those have died in the legislature multiple times. Still not. Why is this year different?
Yeah, well, number one, we have a different body than we did when we went through special sessions. I think that I'm learning this business better. We have to do more education and innovation to help everybody understand. We've been duped. Everybody that served in this body for the last 4 decades have been duped. They have voted on over 120 sales tax exemptions, but we've never talked about the specifics of it, okay? I'm giving everybody that served here for the last 4 decades the benefit of the doubt. They voted on it because they thought it was a tax cut, right? All of us in business know if we have a decrease in revenue, what do we have to do to stay in business? We got to cut spend equally. Goober politicians haven't figured that out. So we voted for all these sales tax exemptions, calling them tax cuts, and the hard fact is the lights are coming on. They were not tax cuts. I have asked countless, show me someplace where government spend decreased in the last 40 years. Zero until now. So all of those sales tax exemptions have done nothing but tax shift, put it on the backs of property tax. The power in this legislature has to go back to the people, not the special interest groups, not the 10 or 12% that can afford the property tax. We're going to fight like hell till we get there. Yes, sir.
You spoke about programs to fight brain drain.
Yeah.
Mainly the program with ACT for high-achieving students.
Yep.
But at the same time, with combating DEI, combating some of these
Yeah.
these types of woke, obviously that appeals to a lot of kids. Is there concern about possibly increasing brain drain, pushing kids out of the state because of kind of focusing on policies like that?
Questions you're saying there's a bunch of kids that love DEI and that we're pushing them out of the state. I'm engaged with people all over. I understand exactly what the values are in this state and what we believe in. And there's University of Nebraska is full of Mayas. University of Nebraska is full of Mayas, and it's time we as a state, and we're really excited that every student that scores a 33 and above is going to be able to afford to go to school in Nebraska. We flipped it 3 years ago with the perfect ACT students. The first group I met, 80%. I met them all. 80% said, 100% said I really wanted to stay here. 80% of them said we're leaving because I can't afford to stay. So we flipped that overnight with very little notice, when students could get a room and board, full tuition, a stipend, 80% are staying home. I want to get it to 32. If at 33, I think we've got like 420 kids. At 32, it'll double that. I believe all of us Nebraskans that have hit it out of the park will say, I'll step up and be a part of that. I'll step up and be a part of that. We need to start investing in our kids and quit worrying about names on buildings in Nebraska.
Piggybacking off of that question, one of the things that the University of Nebraska has been frustrated about in the past is kind of increasing demands on how much free tuition they give out to various people by the state, but then less investment from the state, less than they ask for at least. Of course, that's what happened in this biennium budget, and you saw UNL make serious cuts. So how is this funded? I mean, in long term, how will this be funded?
Yeah, well, the University of Nebraska system has over $750 million of cash, pillowcase money, I call it, hanging around. That's one option. Obviously, I mean, we have a foundation that can raise $3 billion for a rainy day. Let's get after it, raising money from the philanthropic community to invest in our people. And let's just talk about state funding for a split second. Just so you know, we need to be in the market, and we need to be understanding what's going on in our neighboring states. Our neighboring states are funding higher education at 50% of the rate we in Nebraska are. 50%. Check it. We're funding over $700 million. Our other neighbors are half that. I think it's really important. Let me use an analogy. Squealing sow. If you've ever fed a sow, fat sow squeals for feed just as much as a skinny sow does, and you can never give them enough. Our higher education system's got to quit being a fat sow. We have to do what we do to stay in business. It's really simple. We have to combine our programs. I mean, we have programs on campuses that have more professors than kids. What the heck? Is there anybody here that supports that? We need to not cut programs. We need to combine programs. Oh, by the way, we got apps under the sun, right? We CAM bodies. Why don't we have apps to make sure we hold our tenured faculty accountable to work 40 hours a week? Like all the rest of us, most of us work a hell of a lot more than that. So there's things we have to do to run our higher education system like a government, like a business, and not keep thinking more money. You hit it on the head. There's never enough money. We got to change that culture, and we're working together with President Gold to change that.
To be clear, this state mandate would not be accompanied by additional state investment?
Not today, no. We believe we have an extraordinary philanthropic community in the state of Nebraska, and there's resources within the state to make that happen. Yes, Sarah.
On the note of reducing contract services, is the state considering returning the child welfare cases in the Omaha area back to in-house staff?
Yeah, I can't speak to that specific, but there are programs that, without a shadow of a doubt, we can build our own team. We've had incredible leadership change within our cabinet and within the Department of Health and Human Services. I'm so proud. We have 25 out of 29 people that serve at the pleasure of the governor that are new. Everybody that is in the cabinet today believes, because you got to have a team that believes. What I do know without a shadow of a doubt in my experience, in my lifetime. If you believe you can't, you're 100% correct. We've got a team that believes, and we're working very hard. We believe that we can improve services as we change our culture, that we have public servants, and we can do it for a fraction of the cost of contractors. Many of my friends here that have hired couldn't get some things done, and we, out of go get contracts, we regret it every time. And we need to get that through in government, and we're working on it. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you for meeting with our team last night. I want to give a shout out to Neil Sullivan and his work. Lastly, with our key team's leadership, Neil and all our we're working very, very hard to learn our business better and better every day. I've asked our cabinet members, who, by the way, are well-renowned over the country, I've asked them to stop. They're asked to give talks all over. Well, guess what? We aren't accountable to give talks all over. We're rolling up our sleeves and working for the people in Nebraska because we have to go through every line. I've got friends here that understand that if you get to the front lines, that's where you really can find the silly stuff. We haven't been there. We have, just so you know, this budget, we're pleased but sure as heck not satisfied. We're just getting started. We're going to have an incredibly lean, efficient Nebraska business government. Thanks all for being here. Thanks for my friends for being here. All right.